Hi, my name is Micah Watson and I'm a composer and music producer, and I'm teaching you through the entire Ableton Live 9 manual from start to finish. And today we're talking chapter 11, which is converting audio to MIDI. This feature is not available in Ableton Intro and Lite editions. Okay, so last week we spoke about all these different warping options that we have, warp markers and all these algorithms over here. And today we're going to be talking about how you can take this audio sample and slice it into different MIDI tracks, or use Ableton Live's algorithms to convert it to MIDI so that you can edit your MIDI notes. You'll also be able to turn this audio file into a new instrument using Ableton Live's sampler or simpler. So the options that I'm going to be talking about are the options that you get when you highlight audio, right click or control click, and in your menu you've got these 4 options. These are the 4 options I'm going to be exploring today. Slice to new MIDI track, convert harmony to new MIDI track, convert melody to new MIDI track, and convert drums to new MIDI track. So let's jump right ahead. Slice to new MIDI track. So when you click that option, you get this little dialog box and you have 3 options that you need to choose. First, you need to choose where the slices are created, and that's also equivalent to asking how many slices you want. I'll explain that shortly. So you can choose, you can either create 1 slice per warp marker or transient, bar, and so forth. So you guys know what transients are. Basically, it would split at each one of these jumps. Or you can make it more obvious, like quarter note. Let me quickly play the sample so you have an idea. So there's a bit of percussiveness, there's some weird notes, there's some harmonic elements, and I chose this just because I think I can use this one sample to illustrate those 4 different options here quite well. Anyway, back to slice to new MIDI. Let's go for transients. The current clip region is 16 beats long. This will result in 53 slices. Okay, these numbers don't seem to be very related. That's because these transients aren't at nice neat intervals. Like if I change this to quarter note, 16 beats long, this will result in 16 slices, because a quarter note is equivalent to 1 beat, because we are on 4/4 time, which means 4 quarter notes in a bar, and each quarter note is 1 beat. If you guys don't know meters and all of this quarter note nonsense or whatever, time signatures basically, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to help you with that and make a video on that if that's what you guys are struggling with. But for now, I'm just going to move along. Okay, here you have your slicing presets. So actually the Ableton Live manual hardly says anything about what these slicing presets are, but it's okay. I will tell you what they are. So basically, these slicing presets are presets that Ableton has made for you that will basically just determine where these slices go. So typically it'll put all these different slices into a drum rack so that you can trigger it with pads, but you can also put it in, say, a sampler, and these other things like sampler, beat offset, this will be some kind of macro device that's been included in the sampler just for your convenience if that's how you like using your audio slices. I won't go through each one of them, but I will go through a few just to show you kind of the difference. And preserve warp timing. So if this is on, then if you've had any warp markers or warp algorithms done on this audio clip, then that will be preserved for each individual slice. And if it's off, then when you slice the audio, it's going to sound like your unadulterated sample without any warping on it. So I'm just going to keep it off, and alright. So I've used the default option for your slicing presets, and what it's done, it's given me a basic drum rack here, and it's chopped up my fruititious sample, and it's put these little slices. Remember, there are going to be 16 of them, and there are indeed 16 over here. And we can listen to the little bits. Each will be a quarter note long. Alright. So that was the one kind of idea, and this is a kind of normal drum rack where you can change your various settings, and I'm also going to show you what this is shortly. Alright, let's do another preset just to show you. Select this, I'm going to slice new MIDI track. So I'm actually going to go to a 32nd note, which would mean there would be 128 samples, because for each sample that there was earlier, there will now be 8. So 8 times 16, so I'll have 128 slices, which means I'm going to have 128 little pads in my drum rack. Just a quick note. There are only 128 spots in your drum rack, so you can't actually slice more than 108 bits. So for instance, if you had transients selected and this thing was just lathered in transients, more than 128, say there were like 500 transients, it would only actually slice it to 128 pieces, because that's all your drum rack can accommodate for. So let's just do the max here. Okay, slicing preset. Okay, I'm going to use the built-in one again, because I wanted to show you the drum rack. Okay, now you can see here, this all went light gray, and that's because each square, there's a little black square here. This little black square is showing these 16 notes, and I can move it up by clicking and dragging up. These are different 16 notes and so forth, and all of these together make your 128 samples. Once you've sliced your MIDI into your audio, it comes in this order here, slice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so forth, so that if you play it from the bottom left to the top right, why am I not hearing anything? So if you play from the bottom to the top right, it's going to go in the order of your actual sample, so it'll be playing this thing through. But if you are a pianist, or if you're used to using the drum rack in a certain way, your fingers are going to be used to certain patterns and muscle memory, which means you're probably more likely to hit the same combination of notes. Sometimes, instead of trying to change the muscle memory of your fingers, you can actually just move around these slices so that naturally the sound is going to change. So that if you're used to hitting, say, this pad and this pad all the time, sorry, I did something funny there. So instead of having to hit slice 1 and 6 all the time, because that's where your fingers go, well, you can actually just change the slices so that by default you'll be hitting slice 11 and 10 all the time, and it'll give a completely different sound. And again, experimentation is key if you're trying to find something that you think works for your particular song. Okay, let's go back to this guy, select, and I'm going to do one of these sampler presets. Okay, I'm going to go sampler reverse. Let's do shorter note, like quarter note, and I'll explain to you how this works. So basically, it's taken the slices and it's put it in a sampler for me, and the reverse just means that it's got this reverse preset on. So just like Ableton has made these presets for you because it might think that you want to slice everything, put it in a sampler and have it reversed, you might think, actually no, I want to slice everything, put it in a sampler, and you might want all sorts of other settings, like maybe you want the modulation to be different, you want to change the ADSR. Maybe this is how you like your audio to be sliced. You can save this as a preset and add it to that menu that I just showed you. Okay, so I'm going to go to my user library here, I'm going to go to defaults over here, open that up with a little triangle, slicing, and well, this is actually empty because I haven't made any presets yet. So to save this as a preset, I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it into the slicing folder, and I'm going to call it slicing preset. Okay, so now when we go to our audio sample and we select it, slice new MIDI track, and we choose our slicing preset, you can see here it says slicing preset. When I select this and slice it, basically it'll have my settings. It's got my modulation settings stored, so that's what that preset is. Convert harmony to new. Let's go to convert harmony to new MIDI track. This command identifies the pitches and polyphonic audio recording and places them into a clip on a new MIDI track. So it's analyzing the audio and taking out all the notes and trying to work out the actual MIDI. So here you can see I've double clicked on the MIDI file. The default instrument will be a piano. It's quite cute. Let's compare it to the original. So I'm pretty impressed. It's kind of accurate. And even though you might not use this, this can be really cool material to spur your creativity. You might like something like an idiosyncrasy that happened as a result of changing this to MIDI. And of course, you don't have to keep it a piano. You can turn it to, say, a different instrument. This is cool. Think like creepy Chuck movie or something. So yeah, it's great to have some fun with. And as the name suggests, convert harmony to new MIDI track, that particular option is geared more towards, say, MIDI clips that have lots of chords and you want to extract the harmony from them. But you've also got convert melody to new MIDI track, and what this is going to do is analyze this audio and try and pick out the melody and give you that in a MIDI track. Okay, this default instrument is a synthesizer, unlike the harmony, which usually defaults to piano, but you can always change that, so let's listen to the so-called melody. There's not much to be said about that. You can also change the instrument or change any of these settings to make it sound better for the particular melody that you've gotten. And finally, we have convert drums to new MIDI track. So this, I'm fully aware that this isn't a drum track, but the reason I'm going to use it on this anyway is because of all these transients, and I think I'll get some interesting results. So convert drums to new MIDI track, typically for drums. Okay, so what this actually does, it tries to identify the sounds that it heard in this original sample and place them into the drum rack as though they were kick drum, snare drum, and so forth. So as you can see here, these drum notes, they've turned it into hi-hats. If I go back to, like, say, the harmony melody, it's kind of turned these higher ones into a continuous hi-hat. You can see that rhythm as well. It's not quite the same, but and that's kind of where it gets these notes from. And here let's put that as the snare. And the kick, look at the notes, are these lower notes. So quite interesting. I would use this if you have some kind of drum loop and you like what you hear and you want to analyze it, but you are too damn lazy to write out the MIDI notes yourself, and you just get this to do it for you. And then you can play around with it, change the sounds, and use the underlying rhythm from the thing you were sampling, but you can change the actual drum sounds and just save some time. If you do want to get better at writing your own beats though, I don't suggest always using this algorithm. I actually suggest you listening to the drums and trying to transcribe it yourself. So try and hear every time there's a kick and write out the kick yourself. Because that way you're actually going to start learning the structure of drum loops and specific drum patterns in the music that you like, and you're actually going to become a better composer for it. I've explained to you the optimal kind of sample to use it on. But as we know, creativity doesn't thrive in a little box all the time, and sometimes you want to do the wrong thing on purpose. Just like I kind of chose this sample, which I knew wasn't a drum, but I wanted to see what would happen if I tried to extract this rhythm and turn it into a drum. And the same goes for converting harmonies. If you use this convert harmony to new MIDI track, you're often going to get chords, but if you run a monophonic clip through it, like say for instance a vocal recording, often this algorithm is going to try so hard to find a harmony that it might add something that wasn't present in the original audio or emphasize a certain harmonic, and these kind of things can really spark your creativity. So I hope this helped you. Experiment, have fun, and I'll see you again next week where I'll be talking about using grooves, which is all about making your rhythm feel better for your particular song.